over the country. Camp passed. And Lewis, it starts with the defending champs. Do the Eagles open camp as the NFL's team to beat?
Look, they're going to be right there. I don't think they're necessarily, though, the team to beat. I keep saying that I believe that it is the Kansas City Chiefs who have really done some work this offseason, Greeny, and gotten better. This offensive line is going to be a strength for them this year. They have fortified the left side of the offensive line. Rashee Rice returns. They have some wide receivers now that can really get down the field. They added some defensive line help. And as I've said before, Patrick Mahomes is cranky, which is perfect.
Mike T, will Dak lead the Cowboys back to the playoffs?
No, Greeny, but they are going to be better. And as you mentioned yesterday, they got a lot better. They got a great new quarterback in Dak Prescott, who hopefully will be healthy. They got a point scorer in George Pickens. And most importantly, a new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, who has a well-deserved opportunity. I just don't know defensively if they've answered enough questions to make the playoffs, but they will be better.
All right, speaking of big questions, one of them got answered finally in Pittsburgh, but here's another. Lewis, is Aaron Rodgers the right fit for the Steelers?
Yeah, I believe he is. And I've said it months ago when we were talking about it on Get Up that I believe that Aaron Rodgers needed Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh needed Aaron Rodgers. Aaron needs Mike Tomlin. He needs a guy who he just trusts implicitly as a leader, and he can just focus on playing football. And look, the Pittsburgh Steelers needed to level up at the quarterback position. I think Aaron Rodgers has a point to prove. I know some people may not put a whole lot of stock in that, but this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer, 4-time MVP. Who, quite honestly, if he has a shred of pride in himself, he's getting pissed off at the fact that people keep counting him out. I think he's going to have a big year. I wish he would have got signed earlier, but I think it's a good fit.
Well, let's dive into what he said. The 4-time MVP, his first day yesterday, explaining why he signed with the black and gold.
I think it starts with Mike Tomlin. I mean, I've been a fan of his for a long time. There's a few iconic franchises in the NFL. I played for one of them for 18 years. This is another one of those. I don't need it for my ego. I don't need it to keep playing. This was a decision that was best for my soul.
Somehow the Jets wind up taking shrapnel no matter what happens. I played for a great franchise. I'm now with a great franchise. Let's just pretend those other 2 years in there didn't happen. Shefty, let's go. What exactly can you tell us? Rodgers shows up, his first day. He had a lot to say. What do we need to know?
I think everybody had wondered what had taken him so long. And obviously he addressed the fact that he got married this offseason. There were people that he was looking out for this offseason. There are a number of commitments that he had. But the message that he wanted to deliver to his team on his first day of work with the Pittsburgh Steelers was he's all in. That was important for him to convey to everybody because people wondered whether and if he would wind up signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which he wound up doing on Saturday morning officially in Pittsburgh. But the plan all along was to go to Pittsburgh. He himself said it was Pittsburgh or nowhere else, despite the conjecture about Minnesota and other teams that was out there. His plan was to go to Pittsburgh. He executed the plan, and yesterday he let everybody know he's ready to get to work.
The whole wedding ring piece of it was a strange little sidebar, right? Because there he is. Are you wearing a wedding ring? Yes. When did you get married? A couple of months ago. And then just this eerie silence just sort of befell the entire conversation, and it was left at that.
Because, look, the fact of the matter is he's such an intriguing figure. Right. There's so much curiosity about his life. And he had been wearing a wedding ring, so you want to ask it, but it's a personal issue, and he gave you enough to get your antenna up and want you to want more, but nobody was comfortable asking any follow-ups.
Right.
And he didn't want to offer anything.
I'm comfortable. Aaron, I want the details. I need to know everything there is about this. That said, so whatever his reasons were for not being there until now, they are, from what we've heard, they're very legitimate reasons. But let's put that to the side. From a football perspective, how significant is the time that he has missed?
It's huge, Greeny, and there's a juxtaposition here, going back to what both Lou and Adam said, which is, on the one hand, he said he's all in, but sign your contract in March, guys. Sign it in April. There's a lot of virtual off seasons now, and when you look at what's going on in the AFC North in particular, Greeny, and you look at Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and all the time they have with their receivers, look at this graphic here. He is massively behind. There is no way that he can make up the time where they are not the third best team in the division when you think about offensive efficiency. Now look, Pittsburgh was moribund last year in offense, so the bar is low, and this guy's an all-time great. Maybe he catches lightning in a bottle, but there's no way to me that this could be anywhere close to the offense of both either Baltimore or Cincinnati.
Lewis?
Yeah, look, I agree. Look, he's battling with some titans in the NFL in terms of quarterback play in Joe and Lamar. He just is, and Cleveland's going to be improved. And look, Pittsburgh isn't about putting a respectable product out on the football field. That's not what they're about. They're about winning the division, winning playoff games. And I know people are going to say, well, they haven't been about that recently. But look, that's still the ultimate goal for this football team. And he said it himself, is an iconic franchise. Missing all that time, it means something. It really does mean something, considering the fact this is a new football team, a new organization, a new head coach, a new OC, new players. All that time that you miss, you can't get it back. There isn't enough time in training camp. There just isn't. And then you're going to hit the ground running and trying to deal with these cats in that division. That's the only thing that bothers you about is just how long it took. I do continue to believe that they needed each other. It made sense to me from the very get-go this offseason. I just wish the ink would have been dry on the paper a long time ago from the get-go, so we'd be further down the road as far as seeing how this really looks on the football field for them.
But the Steelers operated as if they knew they were going to be getting Aaron Rodgers. And Lou, that is the key point. They needed each other. Aaron Rodgers did not have another team that needed him. The Pittsburgh Steelers did not have another viable quarterback option after they checked in and couldn't get Matthew Stafford, couldn't re-sign Justin Fields. So they did need each other, and it's a one-year deal, and it's a bridge because the Steelers have a number of picks in a quarterback-rich draft, in a draft that's going to be held in Pittsburgh next year, and this buys them another year to get to another draft in their city where they can go try to find a quarterback.
Brady, let me take you into the room. If I'm Omar Khan, the GM of the Steelers, he did the hard part. He got a franchise, once-a-franchise quarterback at an incredible economic discount. The easy part is to say, like, obviously your legacy is important and playing football is meaningful to you. Sign in April, sign in March, just so we can take all the noise down and you can at least work with your teammates, even if it's virtual.
So to stay with the theme, it's a marriage of necessity between Rodgers and the Steelers. Super quickly, he's there. Someone else very important is not in Pittsburgh.
T.J. Watt, and who would have thought that on the day that Aaron Rodgers would practice for the very first time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the biggest story of the day would be that the heart and soul of their team, T.J. Watt, would not be attending. Skipping mandatory minicamp, wants a new contract. This has been the off-season of the pass rush deal. We've seen the Raiders pay Max Crosby. We've seen the Vikings pay Danielle Hunter. We've seen the Browns pay Myles Garrett. And here's T.J. Watt and Trey Hendrickson with their hands up, the two players who have led the NFL in sacks the last 2 years. More sacks, more production than anybody, the heart and souls of their team. Where's mine? And so T.J. Watt isn't planning to be there until he gets paid.
Okay, lots of football on the menu today, but now to the NBA we go with.
There's a few iconic franchises in the NFL. I played for one of them for 18 years. This is another one of those. I don't need it. For my ego, I don't need it to keep playing. This was a decision that was best for my soul. And I felt like being here with Coach T and the guys that got here and the opportunity here was the best for me, and I'm excited to be here.
Hey, Adam Schefter is with us for more. Adam, what's the early word on Aaron Rodgers from Steelers camp?
Well, Randy, who doesn't want to make a decision that's best for your soul? And Aaron Rodgers yesterday was in Pittsburgh for the first time to practice with his new teammates, his new organization, and his first message of the day to his new team was that he's all in. That's what he felt like he needed to tell everybody after weeks and months of speculation about whether and when he would sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And once he did and got that one-year deal done, he told all his new teammates yesterday he's all in, he's all ready to get to work, and as you mentioned, he's married to the job, he's married off the field, a lot of rings this offseason, a lot of marriages, and Aaron Rodgers is ready to get to work to try to return the Pittsburgh Steelers to the playoffs where they've lost their last 6 postseason games.
Something borrowed, something blue, something new. I mean, the whole thing works here for the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. Now, Pittsburgh has a focus on who is there, sure, but also for who is not there, notably T.J. Watt. What's the latest on his absence, Adam?
Randy, who would have ever thought that on the very first day that Aaron Rodgers would practice with the Steelers, the biggest story would be T.J. Watt staying away from the Steelers' mandatory minicamp. He's set to earn $21 million this season. He wants a new deal. He wants it reworked. We've seen many pass rushers be paid this offseason. T.J. Watt wants to add his name to that list, as does the Bengals standout pass rusher Trey Hendrickson, who led the NFL in sacks last year. Him and TJ Watt are 1 and 2 in sacks in the NFL the last 2 years. Hendrickson's been trying to get a deal done with the Bengals for the better part of the past 2 off seasons. They haven't made much progress, and Trey Hendrickson says he will not play without a new deal. It's a similar story in Washington, where their standout wide receiver Terry McLaurin is not participating in the mandatory minicamp, hasn't shown up to any activities this offseason while he awaits a new deal. He's going into the last year of a deal that's scheduled to pay him about $19 million. We've seen big new deals given out to wide receivers this offseason, to T. Higgins, to Jamar Chase, to a number of players like DK Metcalf, and Terry McLaurin believes that he joins or should be joining that list. He is not showing up to work until he gets a new contract from the Commanders.
You can't argue with.
Đi lặp cho mình. Tiếp nha. Một nữa. Cứ làm lần được cho mình. Tiếp tục móc xuống. Tiếp theo, bây giờ sẽ nối vào đây và siết dây nhé. Đây nha, được một cái hình tròn như thế này. Bây giờ thì sẽ móc cái phần dây treo mọi người. Mình sẽ sử dụng 3 cái màu sắc này.